Hello and welcome back to the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2018 season. The champion Michael Schmidl has already been crowned, but we're in Suzuka once again for the final race of the season. This legendary Japanese circuit will host the Formula Hybrid single-seaters for the final time this year, where we hope to find the second and third place drivers who will experience the incredible prizes on offer for them. My name is Justin, and joining me once again, it's Chris.
Always glad to be back for VGP. It is the end of an era, the season closer once again at this wonderful track. This is how the standings look. Schmidl way out in front, of course. Stefanko relatively safe in second as long as he gets a good result, but a great battle for third with Dolezal, Blazek and Schlebeck right there, just a handful of points apart. And then Polesny and Honzik have a battle there for sixth position with Sikora, Kostanik, Zubek, Prohaska and Lucas rounding out the table.
Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP has returned to the 4 Games event for another season finale. 4 Games is a video game and interactive entertainment expo that takes place in Prague, and Virtual GP is proud to present the season finale of 2018 at such a fantastic event. In 2017, there were over 200 exhibits and over 50,000 visitors over the course of the 4 days. Visitors to the 4 Games Expo were invited to meet the VGP drivers and even try out the hardware they use for racing. In addition, visitors were encouraged to enter into some competitions at the Mercedes-Benz stage, along with a full-motion simulator provided by Thrustmaster, longtime partners of VGP. Sim racing wasn't the only feature on offer, however, as fans could also take a look at the brand new Mercedes-Benz A-Class that Michael Schmidl won by finishing first in the 2018 VGP Championship. The final race of the season, which we're about to see, was also one of the biggest events of the whole weekend, with a live commentary from the commentators and a huge presentation on the main stage. Let's take a look now quickly at the battles for second and third in the championship, because of course they will be racing for prizes. At the moment, Martin Stefanko 21 points clear for second position, so he would need to have a terrible day today at Suzuka if he's going to be dropped out of second position. Peter Dolezal, however, and Michael Blazek locked into a tight battle for third in the championship, just 3 points separating them. And let's remind ourselves exactly what they're racing for. These are the prizes. Michael Schmidl has already won the 1-year rental of a brand new Mercedes-Benz A-Class, but these are the prizes on offer for second and third. This is what they're driving for today at Suzuka.
So then, driver of the day was Martin Stefanko for his amazing performance for the Republic of Gamers car in Monza. Well earned indeed. Replacement this time, Peter Dolezal stands out again for the second bus for Daniel Lischkak, returning to the green and white car. This is Suzuka then, a track most drivers will know, 18 turns, 5.8 kilometers, and an amazing season finisher. Fairly normal conditions, 27 degrees track, 21 degrees air, and at 1 o'clock local time. Here are the penalties: 10 places for Robin Lucas, 3 for Jan Sikora, and heading on down to the qualifying positions.
And Michael Schmidl takes pole position by a pretty comfortable margin, you have to say, 6/10 down to Polesny, who only narrowly edged out Martin Stefanko for that front row grid slot. Then comes Michael Blazek in 4th position, a further 10th adrift, and then about another 10th down to Chlebets. Then we've got Lischkak, Zubek, Kostulik, Honzik, Sikora down in 10th with that penalty, and then Prohaska and Lucas as well with that penalty, starting from the back as we're at the grid now and preparing to go racing at this fantastic circuit. Suzuka, always a driver favorite, a crowd favorite, a fan favorite, one of the best circuits in the world. And here we go for the finale of the 2018 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP, and we're away. And the 2 Acer Predator cars up at the front look like they got a good start. Will Stefanko try around the outside at turn 1? It looks like Chlebets going into battle as well into that first corner. We've got a car off wide as well too, and that was Stefanko.
It was.
Stefanko has lost positions. He's already down into 6th position. He only needs a handful of points here, Chris, though, if he wants to seal that second place position. And of course, somebody other than Schmidl would need to win the race as well in order for him to lose out on that second place position. So he's still looking okay. I don't think he's got any damage, but up at the front, Schmidl is breaking away. He's doing his Schmidl thing and breaking away at the front.
Yeah, we've said that once or twice this season, I feel. But yes, Stefenko with an uncharacteristic mistake coming into the S's and flies by. Big lockup for someone. That is Lishkak. Oh no, and the second plus car just manages to jump back ahead of Prohaska in the Vodafone car. But yeah, it was good to see someone other than Stefenko right on the front row. Polesny with a great qualifying performance is now holding off Blazek for second and third. There is Stefenko coming through. Spoon, oh, getting on the inside of Slabek. That's a fight then going on for fourth, still side by side. Then you're going to be full crank coming through 130R. That was, we just saw the foreground. That was Blazek, I believe it was, getting into second position, still side by side. Then going to come into the short chicane, and Stefenko manages just about to muscle his way up. And here we are on board with Lishkak trying to make a recovery drive from his early problems. It's now he's going to make a move on Jan Sikora. Jumps off of the slipstream. He's going to bring Prohaska with him. Oh, they're going to go try 3 wide. No, they think better of that into the first turn. Oh, that's someone off. That was Slabek. Going off then, that's going to give Stefenko that fourth position. He now charges off after Polesny. It wasn't Blazek that got up into second. Wow, fighting throughout the field once again.
Fantastic start to the race. I do wish Schmidl was involved in some of those battles. That's really what we would like to see here for the finale of 2018 Virtual GP, but we've still got plenty of battling going on, and remember that a lot of this is for position in the championship. The all-important second and third place positions in the championship as well too, since those are the ones that get prizes as well. As we have a look at Hanzik, he's having a think about going up the inside into the hairpin. Oh, contact with the Xiaomi Geek car, and Kostuluk goes for a bit of a spin, and Hanzik, I think, is going to do the right thing and wait behind him there, since I think that was his fault that he made that contact there. So he stays behind the Xiaomi Geek car for the meantime. He's only barely into the top 10, with Robin Lucas really hounding him for that final points-paying position. So it's certainly not the start to the Japanese Grand Prix that Jaroslav Hanzik would have liked in that Thrustmaster car, but there are still many laps still to go, over 24 laps still to go in this race. Here we see with Zubek in 5th position, trying to defend from Hlebets as they go into the Casio Triangle, and he does just about hold on to that 5th place position. Meanwhile, Blazek and Polesny look like they're doing a bit of battling up at the front as well too. I saw some changes of position going on. Zubek is going to have the inside line heading down towards turn 1, and will he be able to fend off Hlebets? No, he can't. An incredible move around the outside at turn 1. Dan Lishkak, in the meantime, is putting the moves on Jan Sikora, but he wasn't able to get around there through turns 1 and 2, so he's going to have to stay behind and pick up that dirty air all through Sector 1. You can see the understeer coming in on that Seiko Plus car. It's very, very difficult with that much downforce on the car ahead of you, and he's really struggling as they climb their way and then down towards the double right-handers here. And it looks like the rest of the field starting to break away a bit here, as a big gap starting to form between Zubek and Sikora here.
Absolutely, but yeah, Sikora cannot afford to relent for one single moment. Lishkak is ready to strike, and there is Michael's middle. Just a reminder, he is actually still in the race, and once again leading the way. He hasn't seen anyone for a while, but here is Lishkak. Now on the right-hander, coming through turn 12, coming towards Spoon. He's going to have the outside for the double left-hander. No, Jan Sikora knew how to defend that one, and very well done there. So, oh, a big snap of oversteer as a little bit too much power went down to the tarmac than the tires were ready for, but Lishkak straight back on Jan Sikora's case. Kostuluk and Hanzik solid behind them, now coming through 130R. And how is this going to translate into the chicane? Who's going to be the last of the lane breakers? The Lynx car of Jan Sikora bouncing through, brilliantly defended and very respectfully driven there by Lishkak. That could have gone all kinds of hard to be wrong, but once again, Jan Sikora going for the defensive line, leaning down towards turn 1. Lishkak is going to try for an outside move. It did work pretty well for Lebers earlier on, but he relents that one, slots back into position. But there you see Kostuluk and Hanzik very, very shortly behind. So this train is getting a little bit longer. And behind them, that was Lucas and Prohaska. So this battle, if this train doesn't resolve itself fairly soon, this could have half the field in it.
Yeah, Lishkak as well, the only driver in this group of drivers to be starting on the super softs, worth pointing out. So all of these guys that are fighting with him, they're going to have a bit more of an advantage later on in the race, since Lishkak is running the softer compound tire. So he is running the same strategy though as Schmidl, Blazek, Stefanko, and Helebits. So 4 of the top 5 are running the same strategy as Lishkak, but unfortunately he hasn't been able to put those super softs to good effect. Oh, as Polesny goes a bit wide at the entrance of Spoon. Here comes Hanzik now around the outside of turn 12. Now the inside line now for Spoon Curve. Can he get the move off? Wow, fantastic defending from Kostulik there to hold on to that 9th place position. And now we focus on the battle for 7th once again. Lishkak again with the inside line heading into 130R. Can he get the move done here? Finally, not quite. He'll again be around the outside as they head into the Casio Triangle a bit later on the brakes compared to the Lynx car, but he'll have the outside line for the final car. Oh, more contact, very similar to sort of Kimi and Verstappen in Suzuka earlier this year, and Lishkak has come to a complete stop. I can only speculate as to what may have caused that. That possibly could be a hardware issue or something like that, but that has got to be very frustrating for the replacement driver in the Seiko Plus car. He dropped all the way down to 12th position, and he is moving again. So he is going to continue on, and there we can see all of our drivers at the 4 Games event, and a wonderful place for these guys to be racing. Great to see a crowd as well, and here we see Michael Blazek, who took that 2nd place position early on in the race, and then just kind of took off. He's running a few seconds behind Schmidl at the moment, but also a few seconds ahead of this battle for the final podium position, where Polesny is doing his best to try and keep Martin Stefanko behind, but we all know, Chris, that can be a very difficult job.
Far easier said than done. Polesny actually also the lead driver on the harder compound tire, the soft, whereas as you said earlier, 5 runners on the super soft tires. Here again, this is Lucas Prohaska for the 10 in the field here. I'm assuming Lishkak did indeed have some kind of technical issue, because it just did seem like all inputs seemed to suddenly stop.
Yeah.
And sadly, he just took somebody with him. It was a complete accident. And there is Polesny fending off Stefanko, and not too far behind Stefanko is Lebets. Oh, and that was a very twitchy car. Battles going on up and down the field, towards the front and towards the back, and oh, that was very nearly wide for Prohaska. And that's the Vodafone car relegated to 11th. Robin Lucas really beginning to show some fight. He hasn't had the greatest of seasons, Robert Lucas, but wow, is he really putting up a fight this time. A little bit slow coming out of the Casio Triangle. The Sanders car jumps to the inside line. Will Prohaska be able to throw that around the outside of turn 1? He's going to have a go. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers? And he does. Very nicely done. I think Robert Lucas may well have conceded that one. Go for the safer option to let the Vodafone car through. Very nicely done. Prohaska back up into 10th. Meanwhile, Stefanko continues to pressure Wojtek Polesny as they have come through the darkness, heading towards the hairpin. And a little bit of a puff of smoke there, but nothing too bad. Stefanko needs to get past Polesny quickly. He's on the softer rubber. He should have the grip to do it. He's right under the rear wing now. Jumps on the outside, heading towards Spoon. Is he going to get the inside with the double left? He does, but can he complete the move? Yes, he does. That's Stefanko up into 3rd, but now the defensive game comes into play. Of course, Polesny tires will be able to hang on a bit longer than the super soft runners, but how much pace has Stefanko got to try and get ahead of, get away from Polesny? He's got 7 seconds to close down to Blase. What a great run for the Legion driver.
Yeah, Polesny as well, doing really well, as you mentioned, on the harder compound tires to stay ahead of Martin Stefanko for as long as he did. Here we go between the Lynx car and the Xiaomi Geek car, though, into 130R. And Jan Sikora is going to stay ahead, but only marginally as they get into the braking zone. Oh, and the Xiaomi Geek car of Kostulik running a bit wide there. I think getting the braking possibly a bit wrong, dipping a tire in the grass potentially as Peter Zubek heads in to start lap number 7. He's got a pretty big gap ahead and behind, so Zubek running pretty comfortably in that 6th place position at the moment. I'm sure he would like to try and close down that gap to Lebets up in 5th position. As it stands right now, if the drivers were to finish in the positions they're in right now, then Michael Blazek would finish 3rd in the championship. Stefanko would finish 2nd. So those would be your 2nd and 3rd place championship finishers as it stands right now. But of course, we still have almost 20 laps of racing still to go, and there is the Legion car of Michael Blazek. As I mentioned, he really broke away, made good use of those super softs, and Polesny acting as a bit of a barrier between himself and Stefanko as well has just really allowed him to pull away. About a 5-second gap between him and Stefanko at the moment, and there is your 2018 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP champion Michael Schmidl coming to the end of lap 7. So he's got just over 19 laps still to go in this Japanese Grand Prix, and it's all looking very comfortable, very controlled, you have to say, for the VGP champion, recently crowned a few races ago. And he goes on to start another lap with Blazek about 5 or 6 seconds back. Stefanko with a similar sort of gap. And Polesny now starting to drop back, but of course Polesny will start to come back at these guys. Let's play a little game of predicting. I'm gonna say the super soft runners maybe are gonna be coming in around lap 10 or 11, 12, something like that. So I'd say the pit stop window is gonna be opening up in a couple of laps here, whereas the soft runners, they're probably gonna be going until lap 15, 16, something like that. So we're getting pretty close to that pit stop window, one would imagine. Surely it's gonna be a fairly comfortable one stop for all these guys, but we're now on board with Prohaska. He's closed up to the back of Kostulik after that costly mistake that he made at the Casio Triangle. Well, that's a tough one to say. Prohaska, just washing out with that understeer from the dirty air going through the Dunlop curve. But he's already into the points, and he could double that points tally here, Chris, if he can find a way past Kostulik.
Absolutely, indeed. Once again, Michael Schmidl running away. There must be something about red car. Okay, here's a lot of black, but there's red in there. And the initials of MS equals amazing performances. There must be something in that particular combination, because I think it's fair to say Schmidl has been pretty dominant in this season. But everyone else has done their absolute best to fight for every position they can possibly do. No one has really given up the ghost at all, and that's been amazing to see throughout this season, as is epitomised here with Prohaska chasing back. Martin Kostulik, and not too far ahead, we just saw Jan Sikora is not too far off the back of Jaroslav Honzik, so no immediate battles. That one is indeed Kostulik and Prohaska, the closest one we have on track for position at the moment. But when the pit stops happen, that's really going to shuffle the order pretty well. I'm in full agreement with your predictions on 8 to 10 for the super soft runners, and around about 15 or so for the softs. For the soft runners to bring their cars in. Prohaska really gets under the rear wing of Kostulik, and Kostulik will know he just has to keep it on the black stuff through the S's. There's no real opportunity to overtake here unless you force a mistake or your competitor makes a mistake of their own accord. But Prohaska has been pretty good at reading Prohaska back in again, Kostulik back in again. And there you just saw Jan Sikora come out of the shot. So here we have Klebitz. He's still chasing down Wojciech Polesny, who's, again, he's losing time with Stefanko, but exactly to that. And there is Stefanko, and they're just going out of the shot. But he's not losing massive amount of time on the harder rubber. So Wojciech Polesny, I think, is in really good form to be able to get on the podium, or stands a very good chance of it.
Yeah, you have to say he's a dark horse at the moment, but definitely involved in that podium battle. But we're sticking with Kostulik versus Prohaska, which, as Chris mentioned, could involve Sikora pretty soon if we're not careful. So that could become a three-way battle, as Lishkak is also starting to close in on Robin Lucas. Of course, remember, Lishkak had that issue earlier on in the race. He does have good pace in that car, in that Seiko Plus car, so he has started to close in Robin Lucas. He is also on the super soft tires as well, so he might be coming into the pits fairly soon. He might try something different, come in the pits a little earlier, as he is the furthest down super soft runner as it stands at the moment. Jaroslav Honzik is looking rather lonely through the S-curves, you have to say. Nobody really bothering him up ahead or behind. Again, Zubek with a similar sort of situation. Klebitz and Polesny running in fairly close proximity, and Polesny appears to be closing in on Stefanko now. So it seems, as we go on board with Polesny in the Acer Predator blue car, it seems to me that those softs are now coming into their own. It seems that they're maybe a little bit quicker. A 31.2 last lap for Polesny, and we'll see if we can compare that to one of the super soft runners. But he's doing well through Spoon, and those softs are holding up pretty well. But there is Klebitz behind him. Klebets has been very good this season, a huge improvement over 2017, and Michael Schmidl is in the pits, so the first of the super soft runners into the pits, and there is Michael Schmidl looking for his pit box now, and I assume he will be fitting a set of the soft compounds to do the rest of the race, and that was 10 laps, so he's going to do a 16-lap stint on the softs. The Lenovo Legion car of Michael Blazek is going to follow him in from that second place position as well too. And we'll see if anybody else comes in. Stefanko did not, though. So interestingly, Stefanko is doing something different to Michael Schmidl, which we always like to see. But there is Lishkat getting the measure of Robin Lucas, moving himself up into a points-paying position as it stands right now. But of course, with the pits and everything, that will drop him back down out of the pits. But Blazek, crucially here, has fed out behind Hanzik. Now, what is that going to do in the battle between himself and Stefanko, Chris?
That is a very good question. Unfortunately, Martin Kostelik had a problem a couple of laps ago. He'd fallen to the tail of the field where there was a technical problem with spin. Unfortunately, we didn't see. Palesny now up to second and will inherit the lead when Stefanko brings his car in, which we would imagine to be in the next lap or so. Interesting that Stefanko chose a contra strategy to our all-dominant Michael Schmidl, but then I suppose why not? You know, there's always a possibility that he may be stuck behind someone. Well, you can see him. There he is at the back of that shot, and at the moment Schmidl is not anywhere near being held up by Palesny. We'll see if Stefanko brings his car in this time. As Blazek then with, that is Hanzik and Klebets right ahead of him, and yes, Stefanko did indeed bring his car in. One lap later, oh, side by side, go through the Cassia triangle. Wow, that was an amazing move by Jaroslav Hanzik. Whether Klebets was a little bit slow because his tyres were done, or, I mean, wow, Hanzik really did commit to that very much out of nowhere. What a great move.
Yeah, that was a lovely move. That's what we like to see from Jaroslav Hanzik up into 4th position after some pit stops. Martin Stefanko is going to feed out in 6th position, still behind Michael Blazek. So it seems that Blazek not getting held up all that much as a result of feeding out into that traffic. Klebets, however, is going to feed out, it looks like, into 9th position, possibly as low as 12th. Is Kostelik going to get ahead of him? Yes, he does, in fact. So Klebets is going to feed out in dead last. But again, still all of the soft runners and one of the super soft runners still yet to pit in this race. So he will gain a number of positions as a result of that. Now, Blazek on these brand new softs really doesn't need to lose any time behind Jaroslav Hanzik, who is on those almost 12-lap-old softs at this point. Meanwhile, Michael Schmidl has actually fed out behind Palesny, behind his kind of sister teammate. They're not actually teammates, but they are both sponsored by Acer Predator. And through 130R with the inside line, Michael Schmidl makes it look easy with those much fresher tires as well too. So not to discount Palesny, but here we go between Blazek and Hanzik, and Blazek is already past. That, I mean, we barely even caught that. It happened so quickly. Through 130R, the Lenovo Legion car essentially regaining his 2nd place position, or he still had it, but Hanzik yet to pit as he started on the softs, just like 7 of the other drivers we have in today's race. And Blazek continues on from 4th position at the moment, but again, Palesny and Zubek yet to pit still, and we do expect them in the next 2 or 3 laps or so. Around lap 15, 16 seems to be about where they want to go. Oh, and Jan Sikora not doing himself any favors in the Lynx car by going very wide at the exit of turn 1, and that is actually going to put Prohaska right onto the back of him. Prohaska has had he's been a very quick driver at different points during this season. He hasn't had the best of luck though, but he has had some very good speed at different points throughout the season. And it seems Suzuka is another circuit he's getting along well with as they I've gone and commentator cursed him right off the circuit at the first Degner. I do apologize for that. Prohaska, that's going to lose him some significant time. I don't think he's going to lose any positions as a result of that, but we go on board with the Avast car of Peter Zubek yet to come into the pits, and of course running those soft tires. We don't expect him to come in just yet, although the cars are light with fuel, and the track is rubbered in, so somebody that's running the softs could try and go on the super softs as early as lap 13. I don't think 13 laps on the super softs is impossible, but here we go. Levitz isn't hanging around to hang out with Lucas. He gets by very, very quickly on the run down towards Spoon and displaces him down into 11th position. The Sandisk car moves outside of the points after that overtake by Levitz, and they head down towards the long run down towards 130R, and it looks like Levitz absolutely has the measure of him. So again, the Alza Gaming car of Levitz will gain some positions when the soft runners start to come in. So it's looking like he's sort of in like a top 5 position, but a very good race so far, and a very good race in particular for Michael Schmidl, who has won 11 races out of 11 so far this season, looking to make it a perfect 12 out of 12 here, Chris.
And poles, all 11 out of 11, and again, pole here. So he's got the full collection of poles and looking to add all 12 race wins to it. Wojtek Bolesny then is now very much on his own. He is clear of Zubek by 9 seconds. Of course, Zubek hasn't been in yet, but what a great run then for Bolesny, who again, another driver that was second in the opening round at Nibelu in the GT3 cars, but has had a very mixed season from that point on. But looking to recreate that lovely 1-2 Predator moment that we had in the opening round. As he comes through the Casio triangle then, rather minding his own business, just keeping it on the straight and narrow. Back to this battle then for 4th with Blazek and Honzik. And looking at the Thrustmaster car of Jaroslav Honzik then, there's the Blue Legion car of Blazek. Little cautious coming through the Casio triangle right behind them. Martin Stefenko wanting to get back up towards the sharper end of the field as well, with Honzik having Honzik still has to come in, so those tyres will be started to feel rather second hand by now, and Sikora brings his car in, so expect to see some good laps coming in from him. There is the Lynx car getting rid of those soft tyres, so right on the money for your prediction there, Justin.
Yeah, he's going to do a 12-lap stint, which is maybe a lap or two more than what we saw from the guys that started the race on the Super Softs. However, as I mentioned, cars light with fuel, lots of rubber down on the circuit, as well as Jaroslav Honzik makes his way through the Degners and on the run down towards the turn 11 hairpin, and no overtake potentials just yet. And also, he does have much older tires compared to Blazek as well, so I don't expect him to gain significant amounts of time. And indeed, the Thrustmaster driver could be coming into the pits at the end of this lap, especially if he had his eye on Jan Sikora and saw him come into the pits at the end of lap 14. So we'll keep an eye on that. Honzik, I think, needs to worry more about Stefenko. I guess that really depends on whether or not Honzik is coming into the pits at the end of this lap, as Michael Schmidl has started lap 16, and here we go. Bolesny, the highest running of the soft runners at the start, he's going to come in at the end of lap 15 for an 11-lap stint on the super soft tires, as we see him making his way to his grid slot now, and indeed Jaroslav Honzik follows suit. It seems at lap 15, the end of lap 15, is when those guys thought the best time was to get rid of those soft tires, and I have to agree. I think that was a good one. Bolesny was still putting in 131.3s, I think, as he was getting to the end. Here we go with Jan Sikora, though. Wow, just that exit out of Spoon. Possibly some light contact with Kostulik on the run down towards 130R, but he does have the measure of the Xiaomi Geek car. He defends the inside line heading into the Casio triangle. It looks like the Lynx car is going to stay ahead. So a fantastic move for Jan Sikora, and indeed the Xiaomi Geek car peels off into the pits. Martin Kostulik is heading in to replace that set of soft compound tires, as well as Robin Lucas now inherits 9th position in this race due to all of the pit stops. Levitz is now up into 8th, and Jaroslav Honzik has fed out into 7th position on fresh Super Softs. Lichkak is now up to 6th on Super Softs, and Bolesny into 5th on Super Soft. So Bolesny is now behind Stefenko and Blazek. He will get ahead, I think, when Zubek comes into the pits, but this is shaping up to be a very interesting battle for the kind of final podium positions, as it seems Blazek is closing up to the back of Zubek, but there is Bolesny in the Acer Predator blue car. There's Martin Stefenko, the man ahead of him on the soft tires. So Stefenko has older and harder tires compared to Bolesny, and there we go. Zubek does finally dive into the pits at the end of lap 16, so he's going for just a 10-lap stint on those super softs. He's going to be able to push very hard. Oh, and here comes Jan Sikora on Robin Lucas. He sneaks up the inside of Spoon Curve. And lots of respect given there, lots of space between the two of them, swerving back and forth, trying to break that slipstream effect, because, of course, just behind Lucas is Prohaska. So we now have a three-way battle for 9th position starting to develop here in the second half of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. It's towards the sharper end. Stefanko is within striking distance of Blaszek, so the podium positions very hardly contested. Polesny is around about 5 seconds behind on softer and very fresh rubber as well, so don't discount him. I still think he is in for a decent shot. And was that impact there between Prohaska and Lucas? So they're still going. Jan Sikora now breaking away from that particular battle. Oh, Zubek fed out into 6th right behind Lishkak. The second plus car going very wide on the exit. The second Deckner now streaming down towards the hairpin. Zubek looking for an inside move. He doesn't. Oh, he forces Lishkak into a mistake. Flies through in the inside. That's 5th position for Zubek. Oh, that's not done. As the second plus driver then tries to get back on the inside through that long right-hander. But Zubek is going to have the inside line for the double left of Spoon and jumps back up into 5th position. Honzik is right behind the second plus car though, so don't discount him. And oh, that's Prohaska and Lucas again. Prohaska then in the Vodafone car has managed to get up into 10th position. And once again, battles here, there and everywhere. Honzik in the slipstream jumped out but from behind the second plus car and gets up into 6th as Wojciech Polesny gets his name on the fastest lap board. That's what I thought he would do. He would be very, very quick on the softer rubber as Lishkak. I mean, I had a feeling he'd have to come in pretty soon.
Yeah.
He, of course, had that early issue that sent him to the tail of the field. And, yeah, that's a great shame. But, yeah, those Supersofts couldn't hang on anymore. And in he comes. There's Stefanko closing in on Blaszek, or at least keeping pace with the leading car. Michael Blaszek having a very good run. But Stefanko will be very conscious of that. The chasing him is a charging Wojciech Polesny.
Yeah, keep in mind the championship as well, too. This is working out very well for Blaszek because, of course, his main competitors are Chlebets and Lishkak in the Seiko Plus car because of Dolagel's absence today, as Robin Lucas feeds into the pits once again as well, actually. So that will be good news for Martin Kostulik. But as it stands at the moment, Michael Blaszek will finish 3rd in the championship, which is very important because, of course, we have prizes for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the championship. So that's going to be huge for Michael Blaszek. And even if he loses the position to Martin Stefanko, he's still going to be safe in that 3rd spot in the championship. So he really just needs to keep his head down and just keep it on the black stuff and make sure he finishes this race in a good position. I think even if he drops down behind Polesny, I think he's still going to be crowned 3rd position in the championship. So he really has a lot of he can play around a little bit. He's got a good buffer in that championship, so he can relax a little bit, but not too much. He really doesn't want to be pushing himself too crazy, and he doesn't want to be relaxing too much either, because he just really needs to focus on his driving, which is exactly what he's doing. You have to say, Stefanko's really not closing in a massive amount, and they have very similar tire life as well, too. So it's not going to be a massive difference. However, the man on the move in the top 4 is Polesny. He's closed in a couple of seconds within a couple of laps or so, as we saw him set the fastest lap not that long ago in the Acer Predator blue car, and he is definitely going to be very, very quick. The question is, will he have tires left when he catches up to the back of Martin Stefanko or Michael Blaszek, depending on whether or not Stefanko gets that overtake done. That will be the question as we're getting to the end of lap 19. There we go. Michael Schmidl just ticked over to lap 20, so 7 laps to go excuse me, in the final race of Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2018 season, and Stefanko doing his best. I don't think he's just about within that 1 second range or so. He's clearly pushing very, very hard. I think he's out of it for the win based on the gap that Schmidl has at the moment. I don't think even Stefanko can make up that kind of gap on Michael Schmidl, but he is pushing very hard to try and get that second place from Michael Blaszek and possibly just defend from this man here, Polesny, who is again going very, very quickly. A 29.2 last lap from him, Chris.
Stunning pace then from the Predator blue car, who's a full 1.2 seconds quicker than Stefanko, which, let's face it, we haven't said a sentence like that I don't think all season long. Yeah, to be that kind of guy. Well, hello, Dan Liskak. Nice to see you on the. Well, he's got the ultra softs on, so he's out there, reminding people he's still in this race. But yeah, what amazing pace from Wojciech Polesny, and amazing consistency as well. He hasn't been off into the dust. But I think, yeah, Stefanko's got the wake-up call. He's now starting to close in on Michael Blážek. But coming back to what you were saying earlier, Justin, yeah, Blážek's in quite as much as they ever can be, in a comfortable position where there's not a massive amount of pressure on his shoulders. He's driving very, very well. He doesn't have to keep Stefanko behind him. Stefanko is comfortably in second and will remain there whether he finishes in third or second. So Blážek doesn't have to think, I've got to keep this car behind me. He doesn't really have to keep Polesny behind him either. So he can just concentrate on his own race, doesn't have to fight too hard. So it does take a bit of pressure off, but you still want those honours. You still want to be as far up the podium as you could possibly be. So we will see how well Blážek can defend against the second MS on the field. Now over the line they come to start lap 21. Coming through turn 1, then on board with Marcin Stefanko. The Republic of Gamers car sticking quite nicely to the apexes now through the S's. How well can these cars handle the twisty stuff? Polesny is less than a second behind Stefanko, so he can't relax entirely either. Polesny wants the potential podium, and he's very capable of doing it as well. Now out of the S's, heading towards the Degners. Everyone just needs to keep their cars nice and true. Blážek holding his line very well. Stefanko, I think now is when Stefanko is going to really start to put the pressure on. Not that he hasn't been already, of course, but now in this closing stages of the race and closing part of the season, he really wants to press on. So we see another fastest lap from Dan Liskak, another 29.0, reminding people why he is in this championship. Even if it's a reserve driver, he well deserves the driver's seat.
Incredible performances we've seen from Dan Liskak this season, filling in for Peter Dolezal. Really, truly incredible stuff. And if Dan Liskak finishes in that position, I've been doing some math while you were commentating, and if Liskak finishes in 8th, then all Blážek needs to do is finish in 6th. That's a 3-point difference, and 6th would give him 4 more points, and that would give him 3rd position in the championship. Oh, a bit of oversteer there for Polesny coming out of the Casio triangle through the final corner onto the start-finish straight on the long run down towards turn 1. It looks like he's going to be way too far back to make anything happen on this particular occasion. However, he's got just under 5 laps to try and get by these two cars, and he is in very close proximity. Speaking of close proximity, Jaroslav Honzik in the slipstream of Peter Zubek. Zubek defends the inside line in the Avast car. Honzik thinking about going around the outside. Oh! Big contact between the two of them, and Honzik is going to continue on. I think he was just caught a little off guard by Zubek's braking point there, which is interesting because they're on similar tires. They stopped right around the same time, and they're on the same compound as well too, so that's a surprising one. I'll be interested to hear if there's any sort of review of that or anything. However, we really want to focus on this battle for 2nd position in this race. It just keeps getting tighter and tighter between Blážek, Stefanko, and Polesny. On the run down towards Spoon Curve they go, and will we see any changes of position as Polesny picking up a little bit of that dirty air, runs more than a little wide. I was going to say a little wide, but that was very wide, and he comes on to the straight on the run down towards 130R now, tucked into the slipstream of Martin Stefanko, who's of course picking up the slipstream off of Michael Blážek as well too. Oh, as Kostulik is into the pits again. So definitely a race to forget for the Xiaomi Geek driver. And I guess thankfully for him, though, he does have a lot of time to forget about it, as this is the last race of the season, last race of 2018. And there he is coming back out on the circuit, staying nicely to the right. We appreciate that, Martin. Thank you very much for not involving yourself in this incredibly close battle for 2nd position as we start the 23rd lap. Less than 4 laps to go for these guys as they navigate their way through the S-curves once again. And I have to say, Chris, when you were commentating on Stefanko, I think it was a lap or two ago, as he was going through the S-curves, I gotta say, just what a pleasure it is to watch Martin Stefanko driving through the S-curves, because, I mean, he's just so confident. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly where to place the car, and it's just, it really is something to watch. You know, it's one of the reasons why we love this circuit. And look at that, nose to tail, coming out of the turn 11 hairpin. I think less than a meter between each of the cars. Very, very close to one another. That car you saw in the background was Kostulik, so no, that's not Hanzik trying to turn this into a four-way battle. I think Hanzik's a little bit too far back in order to turn this into a four-horse race, but out of Spoon we go once again. Stefanko looks like he's going to be more under attack. Yeah, here comes Polesny. He's going to grab the inside line as well for 130R. Stefanko runs a little bit wide, loses a bit of speed, and Polesny is up into a podium position and already straight onto the back of Michael Blazek. Is it going to be bookended 1-2 finishes for Acer Predator? As Chris mentioned earlier in the broadcast, we saw it at the start of the season. The question is now, are we going to see it at the end of the season?
Blazek hasn't been overly defending from Stefanko, but I think he's going to have to very much defend from Polesny. What a great move then. Textbook maneuver coming through 130R for Wojtek Polesny, then looking back from the Legion car of Blazek coming through the S's. I know exactly what you mean, Justin, watching Stefanko particularly coming through the S's. He makes it look so effortless and so smooth.
He does.
I know damn well how hard it is to take a Formula car through these things. In a virtual sense, of course. I'm not on it enough to be able to try in real life. And yeah, I could probably tell you how many grains of dust there are in this gravel traps. I've been in them often enough. I've virtually painted most of those barriers many times. But look at this. There, once again, the cool, calm and collected Michael Schmidl. 30 seconds is his lead, at least, between himself and Blazek. One of his most dominant wins of this season, I think. Yeah, every time we talk about the dominant win of Schmidl, I still remember Brands Hatch, Schmidl and Stefanko, lap after lap after lap. Both of them were so close. So it hasn't always been that way for Schmidl, but his name has been on the top spot. But how much tyres has Polesny got left? We have 2 laps remaining for the particularly the podium 3 to sort themselves out. The rest of the field are relatively spread out. Damn, this cat's getting close to Klabet, so he may well get that 7th position before the checkered flag falls. But this battle still has some legs to run, but how much life is in the rubber on Wojtek Polesny's car?
Yeah, no overtaking opportunities really until the hairpin. Not going to see many overtakes through the S-curves or through the Dunlop curve or into the Degners either, so he's just going to sit back and save his ERS and hold on to everything he's got. Hold on to his tires as well, too. He wants to be nice and smooth through this section. Make sure he's got that tire life when he calls upon those rear tires to put the 1,000 horsepower down through them and see if he can get a run down towards Spoon. Look at that. He's very close in the braking zone for that turn 11 hairpin to the back of the Lenovo Legion car of Michael Blazek on the throttle now through the high-speed right-hander. And I don't think he's going to be close enough to make anything happen into Spoon. But let's see if he can make anything happen out of Spoon. Also, I just wanted to say, I did want to say a big thank you to our English broadcast partners, of course, the pitcrewonline.net. But also, I wanted to say a shout out to the Haas F1 team and their representation on Michael Schmidl's driver helmet. Because, of course, he does drive for the Haas F1 team in the F1 Esports, which is going to be racing again on October 31st, which should be after this race has come out. So make sure you guys tune in if you want to cheer on your favorite VGP drivers, whether it's Michael Schmidl or Martin Stefanko, because they'll be taking part in the F1 Esports. But let's focus once again on the action on track with the inside line. It seems Blazek really wasn't even interested in fighting that. The driver who we have at many times said is an unbelievable defensive driver. We've seen it from Michael Blazek time and time again. He's a very, very good defensive driver. He just really didn't seem to want to fight that with Polesny. Of course, he is thinking about that 3rd place in the championship, though, because, of course, if he crashes there, then he's not going to get 3rd. Peter Dolagel would get 3rd if he crashed out of this race. Speaking of Peter Dolagel, his replacement, Dan Lishkak, is going around the outside. He's doing the move that Klebets did earlier in the race. Incredible stuff to see 2 overtakes around the outside at turn 1 at Suzuka. That's good racing right there. Martin Stefanko is onto the back of Michael Blazek. Michael Schmidl is onto the back of another race win as he makes his... Oh, I love this shot. See him fighting the wheel through that final corner. Congratulations to Michael Schmidl. It's 12 wins out of 12 for the 2018 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP champion. Let's focus once again, though, on the battle for 2nd position. Stefanko can't do anything. He's got nothing. He's too far back, and I don't think Blazek is going to risk a move into the Casio Triangle, so I think this is the order they're going to finish in. Wojtek Polesny makes it a 1-2 for Acer Predator. Acer Predator red in first, Acer Predator blue in second. The Lenovo Legion car of Michael Blazek, who's had a fantastic season, is going to come home in third position in the championship. Stefanko in fourth picks up second position in the championship. So those are your important drivers of the day. Blazek and Stefanko, they are going to be handsomely rewarded for their efforts all throughout the year. Peter Zubek in the Avast car with a quiet sixth place position just behind Hanzik. And what a finale that was, Chris.
Oh, absolutely it was. Polesny doing a brilliant job right up there at the sharp end as we see the last of our drivers coming over the line. Jan Seeker fending off Prohaska. Or is he? Oh, wow, the Vodafone car pushing him right to the line. And that is just going to run out of road for Prohaska.
Absolutely fantastic way to finish the season. As we said in the opener, Suzuka is a favorite, and there you can see why. Clearly, it's a favorite of Michael Schmidl, though, because he finished nearly 27 seconds ahead of the next car. What a dominant fashion in order to finish his 2018 season. As I mentioned before, Blazek and Polesny completing the podium. Then comes Stefanko, Hanzik, Zubek, Lishkak, Hlebets, Sikra, and Prohaska in the points today. And this is how the championship looks. Michael Schmidl with 304 points, Martin Stefanko with 161, and in the end, Blazek gets the better of Dolezal by just 5 points for that crucial third place.
Absolutely amazing. Dolezal well played, but in the end, consistency from Blazek has got him at that all-important third position with Hlebets, Polesny, Hanzik, Sikra, Kostelik, Zubek, Prohaska, and Lucas rounding out the table.
Let's hear from Michael Schmidl. He says, I'm absolutely delighted. Last year was difficult because of the car crash I had, so it's nice to be back with 12 wins in 12 races. Big thanks to my teammate Polesny for an amazing cooperation, and also to our team manager from Acer. And I'm glad we are going to continue in 2019 in this lineup. The new car is a huge step forward from my old Skoda Octavia. You can see the quality, and it's so comfortable, and that's important for tall people like me. After all, it's a Mercedes, so it's something else. And now we're going to hear from our 2017 champion and runner-up in 2018, Martin Stefanko. He says, it's a disappointment, of course. I was a champion last year, and I wanted to defend the title. It didn't work out, so I really need to improve for next year. I wanted to finish second in Suzuka, but it's fourth place in the end. It's over now, and I'm just going to focus on the F1 esports in the following days, and then we'll see what 2019 brings. I can't wait to try the new AMG cars. It's going to be another great experience, and I'm really excited about it. And now we'll hear from the third place man in the 2018 championship. It's Michael Blazek. He says, it was a difficult day today. It didn't look very well in the practice, but then I came here and suddenly I set the fourth fastest time in qualifying. Then I moved to the second place somehow, and I just tried to focus on the championship and keep it. I knew Lishkak had some problems, so I just wanted to use the opportunity. I really worked so hard for this and can't wait to test my skills with those new AMG cars properly. And now we're going to hear from Polesny, who finished second today at Suzuka. He says, today it was all about good tire management. Those soft tires can wear very quickly, so you need to manage your pace if you want to stay on them a little longer. And luckily, it was the right call. I think I had the speed to be on the podium this year, but there were some issues, like not having enough fuel, for example. But all in all, if everything had worked out, I'm pretty sure I had pace to be in the top 3 this season. And here is your final podium for the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2018 season. Don't forget to vote for your driver of the day on our website. And for myself, Chris, and the whole VGP team, we just want to say a big thank you to all the fans and viewers from around the world for making this the best season yet. I can tell you we are all very much looking forward to 2019, probably about as much as these guys up on the podium. Your top 5 finishers in the championship. Lishkak representing Peter Dolezal, of course, but Michael Schmidl winning in the end. Martin Stefanko in second. And what a season it's been. And he's going to go home with a brand new Mercedes-Benz car. What a season. We'll see you next time.